Hey there, everybody. This is Frankenstein chapter 16 review. And I know I might look a little bit different because you got to know it's Spirit Week. I'm recording. I don't care what day it is. I'm still recording. Anyway, we're reviewing chapter 16, and this is where it gets very, very, oh boy, lots happens. So let's get into it. So the creature had revealed himself to the Lacey family and did not meet with a very positive reception from the kids. The blind man, again, appearance plays such a huge role in this. The blind man had no response, but the children, Felix, Safi, Agatha, the girls faint, run away, and Felix beats him down with like a stick, and the creature just bails out. So in chapter 16, it's all about his response and this interpersonal struggle about what to do. At first, he is angry and he's frustrated and sad. He says, I know not, despair had not yet taken possession of me. My feelings were those of rage and revenge. So he's angry. He's mad at himself for what he views as, I did too much too fast and I should have taken more time. He had gone out into the woods and envision, like, it sounds like a werewolf. He's like howling and crying and destroying objects in the wood. Notice that it says with a stag-like swiftness. This is that superhuman strength, which should make you fear what he's capable of doing. All save I were at rest or in enjoyment. I, like the arch-fiend, bore a hell within me, and finding myself unsympathized with isolation, wished to tear up the trees, spread havoc and destruction around me, and then to have sat down and enjoyed the ruin. So he's taking a really bad turn. Because up to this point, and I mean, even still, you may have a lot of sympathy for the amount of rejection that he's had. So it's like, you want to say, well, can you blame him? Well, okay, we realize that this is not a way that people should be treated, but the response, pay attention to how he responds. So he's out there overnight. The sun rose. I heard the voices of men and knew that it was impossible to return to my retreat. His retreat is at the cottage, so he can't go back to the cottage. The next paragraph, he says, the pleasant sunshine and the pure air of day restored me to some degree of tranquility, peacefulness. And when I considered what had passed at the cottage, I could not help believing that I had been too hasty in my conclusions. I had certainly acted imprudently, and this is where he's saying, maybe I did something wrong. It's not them, it's me. He says, I think I'll go back. I resolved at the end of this paragraph to return to the cottage, seek the old man, and by my representations, win him to my party. I'm going to get the old man to be on my side. Things were going really well until the three kids had come back to the house. He felt like he was really making gains with the old man, Lacey. He says, I'm going to go back. I'm going to try again. So he says, these thoughts calmed me. In the afternoon, I sank into a profound sleep. Of course, this is an emotional roller coaster. When my hunger was appeased, I directed my steps toward the path. All there was at peace. I crept into my hovel and remained in silent expectation. There is nothing happening at the cottage, which is unusual. And he feels concern. He says, when the hour passed that the sun comes up and the cottagers should be getting up and moving about and doing chores, nothing happened. He says, I trembled violently, apprehending some dreadful misfortune. Maybe something happened to them. His first thought is for their safety. Still benevolent and good, a little bit in there. However, people come walking up, as you hear from the conversations in the next two paragraphs. The people are German, It's the landowner. It's like the landlord. Felix approaches with another man. They're talking and gesticulating, talking with their hands. The voices are loud. Everything is they're getting wound up. The man says, "Do you consider that you will have to pay 3 months' rent even if you move out?" So Felix is saying, we're going to abandon our lease. We're going to jump the lease. We're going to get out of it. We will still have to pay the 3 months, but we will not sleep here one more night. We're not going to stay. Felix says, "We can never again inhabit your cottage. The life of my father is in the greatest danger owing to the dreadful circumstance which I have related." And so Felix's viewpoint is that his dad was being threatened by the creature. Now, what did Felix see when the creature was at his father's knees with his hand on his knee, begging for acceptance? It's the appearance. It's the appearance of this ugliness that everybody assumes the worst. Felix assumes that the creature was trying to attack or harm his father. So he says, we have to get out of here at any cost. 3 months rent is nothing. The guy says, you're going to lose everything in your garden, all that. And Felix says, take possession of your tenement and let me fly from this place. Let us out. So Felix trembles and they depart. And then the creature says, I never saw any of the family of de Lacey more. So he's going to be a little bit broken up about this. The next few paragraphs are what he does in response. So you might say, well, how is he going to take this? Is he going to go crawl in the hovel? Is he going to be alone and isolated some more? Or will he seek vengeance? So he's angry. If you look in the next paragraph, for the first time, the feelings of revenge and hatred filled my bosom. And then right before that, my protectors had departed and had broken the only link that held me to the world. Isolation and vengeance. Boom, boom, right there, 2 in a row. Next sentence, I bent my mind towards injury and death. He wants to and is seeking harm for others. He's so angry at all this rejection. Again, he thinks about the girls, the gentle eyes of Agatha, the beauty of the Arabian, and he cries. A gush of tears somewhat soothed me. But when I reflected that they had spurned and deserted me, anger returned, a rage of anger. So he's suffering a lot because he does not have a woman in his life. Go back to the Adam being the first man. Adam had Eve. He has no one. Keep that in mind. As the night advanced, he's kind of thinking, well, what am I going to do? So he lights the cottage on fire, stacks up all this wood around it, and kind of in a demonic way, catch the allusions in the end of that next paragraph. He puts all these things around. He lights it on fire. The wind fanned the fire, and the cottage was quickly enveloped by the flames, which clung to it and licked it with their forked and destroying tongues. Allusions, Satan, forked tongue, fire. Before that, he says, I lighted a dry branch of a tree and danced with fury around the devoted cottage. It's very demonic. It's a lot of references to Satan and hell. So now with the world before me as he's leaving, whither should I bend my steps? Where should I go? I've got the whole world as my oyster. In the next paragraph, there's a couple of things. First of all, he references that Felix had taught Safi geography. It's a double negative. You might miss it if you're not familiar with this type of writing. Among the lessons that Felix had bestowed upon Safi, geography had not been omitted. It wasn't untaught, it was taught. So it's a double negative. To omit is to take it out. So it was not taken out, that means it was put in. So he does know geography, and that's how he makes his way eventually to Geneva. He says, "You had mentioned Geneva as the name of your native town, and toward this place I resolved to proceed. But how do I get there?" So the next few paragraphs, he's wandering through the nights, and it actually, he's kind of going back and forth between feelings of vengeance and then a nice little paragraph about the romanticism in nature and establishing like healing. And if you look at the paragraph, starts with, "I generally rested during the day and traveled only when I was secured by night." The sun had risen. It's the first of spring. It cheered me even by the loveliness of its sunshine and balminess of the air. I felt emotions of gentleness and pleasure. Half surprised by the novelty of these sensations, he's surprised by his feelings of happiness, goodwill, and even at the end, soft tears again bedewed my cheeks, and I even raised my humid eyes with thankfulness toward the blessed sun, which bestowed such joy upon me. Talk about an emotional roller coaster. He is up and down. So in the next paragraph, he starts to tell a story about something that happened when he's on this walk. He says, "I continued to wind among the paths of the wood. As he's kind of in the bushes, he sees a young girl. She is playing like hide and go seek with someone. She's walking along the edge of the bank, which, if you've ever been in a natural situation, the edge of the bank, it's got the soil and trees. And so she slips into the river, and he sees this, and the goodness in him says, you better go save her." He goes into the river. It's a difficult challenge for him, but he saves her. Now, when he pulls her out, he says, "I saved her and dragged her to shore. She was senseless, and I endeavored by every means in my power to restore animation." Now, if you've ever seen anyone who has been drowning, who has gone under, who has water in their lungs, they can become unconscious. This is deadly scary. And she was senseless. When he does everything in his power, you might smack them on the back to try to get the water out of their lungs. You might shake them upside down. You might, it's not going to be like, "Oh, how are you?" It's not a gentle soothing. It's like a whacking and shaking. So, of course, the person who she was playing with, he was suddenly interrupted by the approach of a rustic who was probably the person from whom she had fled. On seeing me, he darted towards me and, tearing the girl from my arms, hastened toward the deeper parts of the wood. He ran away. Well, the creature follows him. I followed speedily. I hardly knew why. We don't know why. Why did you do that? But when the man saw me draw near, he aimed his gun, which he carried, at my body, and he fired. So now the creature is shot. He saved this girl, and he's shot. The next sentence in the next paragraph is with anger. Say it with anger. "This was then the reward of my benevolence? This was what I get for being good? This is what I get for saving somebody's life, and I'm shot?" He's very upset. "Inflamed by pain, I vowed eternal hatred and vengeance to all mankind." Vengeance theme right there. Then for weeks, he's in the woods recovering from this. He talks about, "I don't know where the bullet is, if it's lodged in my shoulder." He doesn't know. So a few weeks later, he starts moving along again, more towards Geneva, and he is walking along when he sees a young, beautiful child. Now, if you go back a few chapters, remember what happened to William, Victor's youngest brother. Let's put these pieces together here. He says, "At this time, a slight sleep relieved me from the pain of reflection, which was disturbed by the approach of a beautiful child who came running into the recess I had chosen, like a little open space. With all the sportiveness of infancy, he's so young and playful. Suddenly, as I gazed on him, an idea seized me that this little creature was unprejudiced and had lived too short a life to have become prejudiced by ugliness. He sees this little boy and he says, I could seize him and educate him as my companion and friend. I should not be so desolate or isolated in this peopled earth." His idea is that I'm going to kidnap this small child and raise him as my own. I'm going to have this little kid love me, and he'll be like my child, and I'll be like his parent, and he will love me, and it's going to be great. We're going to be best friends. Anyway, urged by this impulse, I seized on the boy. How do you think this is going to turn out? As soon as he beheld my form, he placed his hands before his eyes and uttered a shrill scream. Ah! I drew his hand forcibly from his face and said, "Child, what is the meaning of this? I do not intend to hurt you. Listen to me." He always wants people to listen. Somebody just give him a chance. Anyway, the child, we know that this is William. He struggled violently. "He let me go," he cried. "Monster, ugly wretch, you wish to eat me and tear me to pieces. You are an ogre. Let me go, or I will tell my papa." Apparently, he is old enough to know the difference between beauty and ugliness. And the creature doesn't understand how this all develops. And so he had like hopeful thoughts, but even at a young age, William is afraid and probably has been told stories about ogres. And if you think of Shrek, when everybody is chasing him with the pitchforks and all that, this is what he's thinking of, and the teeth, and he's going to eat me. But the thing is, he says right there something that is very important. Catch this. My papa is a syndic. He is Monsieur Frankenstein. He will punish you. You dare not keep me. At this moment, the creature realizes, he knows that this person is related to Victor, this child. "Frankenstein, you belong then to my enemy, to him towards whom I have sworn eternal revenge." And then he says, "You shall be my first victim." And on purpose, the child struggles, loaded me with epithets. He's crying out and cursing him, and struggles, which carried despair to my heart. So the creature is like, I was so hurt and saddened by this. I grasped his throat to silence him, and in a moment he lay dead at my feet. So the creature kills William. He's, remember, telling this to Victor in the hut at the top of the glacier. So now Victor knows that the creature did it. Even though he had suspected and he knew in his heart that he did it, now we have the evidence. It's right out of the creature's mouth. The next paragraph is a little disturbing. "I gazed on my victim and my heart swelled with exultation and hellish triumph. Clapping my hands, I exclaimed, I too can create desolation. My enemy is not invulnerable. He wants to create havoc and cause harm and hurt Victor. He wants to. That's why he just did that." So the next paragraph, "As I fixed my eyes on the child, I saw something glittering on his breast." Think back a couple chapters. What was William wearing? He was wearing that beautiful locket of his mother, okay, that Elizabeth had put on him earlier that day. So the creature takes that. He looks at the beautiful picture, and he is again upset by women in general. Like I said earlier, Adam had Eve. This creature has no woman to love him. He has been rejected by everyone, men and women, but he especially feels the pangs of having no love, and he is not going to be loved. He says, "I was forever deprived of the delights that such beautiful creatures could bestow, and that she, whose resemblance I contemplated, would, in regarding me, have changed that air of divine benignity to one expressive of disgust and affright. If she actually saw me in person and not just in this locket, she would run, faint, scream, all those things." So can you wonder that such thoughts transported me with rage? Like, of course I was angry, so angry. So the next devious thing he does, he takes the locket, he goes to try to find a hiding place. He's exhausted. He goes and finds a barn. Again, a few chapters ago, who was sleeping in the barn? Justine, he goes in there. He sees this young girl. He doesn't know who she is. He sees this young woman sleeping on the straw. He again sees that she is beautiful. He contemplates waking her up, but he decides to be devious instead. He whispers, "Awake, fairest, thy lover is near. He who would give his life but to obtain one look of affection from thine eyes, my beloved, awake." He wants her to awaken, but he doesn't. She stirs, and he's like, "Oh, what am I doing?" And then he says, "This is madness." He leaves the locket in her pocket. He says, "I had learned now to work mischief. I bent over her and placed the portrait securely in one of the folds of her dress. She moved again and I fled." He plants the evidence. He knows, because of the stories that he had listened to with Felix telling and teaching Safi, he knows all about how the justice system works, that evidence is required to convict someone. He leaves the evidence in her pocket and then he flees. He leaves. So anyway, he says he hangs around in that last paragraph, and then finally, this is the big moment at the end, when he's like telling Victor, he says, "So Victor, because of all this, I want you to make me a woman who is just as deformed as I am. I have your journal. I have your notes. You know how to do it. Follow your own directions and make me a woman." This is where all that Bride of Frankenstein comes from. Make me a woman. Someone as horrible, deformed and horrible as myself would not deny herself to me. My companion must be of the same species and have the same defects. This being you must create. You need to make me a woman. Whoa, did you see that coming? Probably not. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this book. This is one of the best chapters ever. So anyway, click to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.